To create a high-performing team, we must first understand the 3 pillars of trust: transparency, consistency, and regular feedback. In this video, we'll use a real-life case study where we'll show you how one team used a data-driven approach to transform their culture from low trust to high trust. To do this, we'll follow an unconventional approach using the Lean Six Sigma DMAIC framework to build and sustain trust in a measurable way. First, let's give you an overview of the DMAIC framework. There are 5 steps in the DMAIC framework. First, the D stands for define, where we define the problem. We assess the current conditions and identify what needs improvement. Next, M for measure. We'll look at the data that may indicate areas of concern, such as financial reports, operational expenses, batch rejections, turnover data, accident reports, and much more. A for analyze. Here, we'll evaluate and interpret the data collected. This includes understanding team members' perceptions to ensure we're addressing the root causes and removing any personal biases we may have. Finally, we improve. We'll implement the best solution based on the data and the team's input. And C for control. In this stage, we want to incorporate methods to sustain the improvement and ensure it continues to meet or exceed our expectations. Let's jump into the case study, starting with the define phase. The goal was to transition this team from a low trust culture to a high trust culture. The team began by reviewing the list of low trust observations which you see on the left side of the screen. Using the trust thermometer, each team member marked an X where they perceived each observation stood within the team. A rating of a 1 meant not a problem at all, a 5 was this seems about normal, and a 10 meant this is a big problem. After completing the activity individually, the team gathered in groups of 3 to 5 people to discuss their ratings. Wherever there was a discrepancy of 3 points or more amongst the group, they dived deeper to uncover why the perceptions varied. Then they moved on to measure and analyze. In this case study, the team identified the greatest discrepancy in perception was with turnover. Leadership perceived turnover as not a problem. The human resources leader flagged it as a huge problem. The lab chemist believed turnover wasn't an issue. This led the team into the analyze phase, where they asked critical questions. Was turnover isolated to certain areas, or was it organization-wide? Did turnover spike at specific times of year? What trends were visible in exit interviews? And was there even a feedback loop for supervisors to act on turnover data? What did we find? Turnover was isolated to one specific department. The department leader had strong technical skills, but lacked communication skills. They revealed that employees felt there was no career path for them in that department, and that they only had one-on-one meetings with their boss when something went wrong. The leader had received no management or leadership training. The team also evaluated the financial impact of this problem. As it turns out, recruiting expenses were over budget for the department. 2 key products made in that unique department were frequently on back order. Customer surveys revealed frustration with inconsistent supply of those products, and some customers even switched to other competitors. In the improve phase, the team developed actions to address both the business processes and the department leader's development. Let's start with the business process improvements. What immediate actions did they take in the first 1 to 2 days? As easy as it sounds, they made metrics visible. Simply presenting the data led to quick wins for the team. For example, sharing turnover trends with the leadership team created an immediate sense of urgency. Then they looked at midterm solutions. What could they do over the next 3 to 6 months? So they added turnover metrics as a standing agenda item in staff meetings. This ensured that turnover data was reviewed monthly and kept top of mind. Then they expanded the scope. The leadership team asked, if this problem exists here, what else were we not measuring that we should be? And then they came up with a long-term plan, a 1-year plan. The leadership committed to getting in the trenches, visiting the production floor regularly, connecting with team members, and keeping a pulse on employee concerns. These actions demonstrated transparency, consistency, and openness to feedback. Remember, as we said, the 3 pillars of trust. So over time, employees felt included, valued, more motivated, knowing that their voices were being heard. Now let's move on to the leader's development plan. The supervisor worked closely with the department leader to reset expectations. They used data to show how the leader's performance impacted the business. They provided hands-on coaching. The supervisor accompanied the leader to the shop floor together to visually connect their role to the data and the team impact. They developed a structured plan, creating milestones and reviewing progress regularly. They increased the frequency of one-on-one meetings from monthly to weekly. This way, the leader immediately began improving. They also started meeting regularly with their team members and internal customers to gather feedback on what they were doing well and where they could improve more. Next, the team moved into the control phase, the final step of DMAIC. This phase ensures that the improvements were sustained. What key actions were taken? They identified the metrics to monitor moving forward. They established a schedule for reviewing these metrics regularly. They implemented processes to ensure consistent feedback loops. A high trust culture wasn't built overnight, but it started changing, and it was sustained through the daily actions of the leadership team. The bigger picture involves embracing a mindset of continuous improvement. Once they addressed a turnover issue, they asked, what's next? They understood that continuous improvement was infinite. By getting the team on board with this mindset, they unlocked levels of performance and leadership that previously seemed unattainable. Some key takeaways. Improving trust wasn't just about the people. It was a business strategy that positively impacted the organization's financial health. Using data and this methodology allowed the team to pinpoint gaps, make targeted changes, and grow as leaders. Here's what the team accomplished in this course. They defined the problem using team input. They measured key metrics to identify areas of concern. They analyzed discrepancies to uncover root causes, and they implemented improvements to address these gaps. And finally, they created a plan to sustain the changes. If this course resonated with you, consider the next course, Improving with Everything DISC, a powerful communication tool that helps you understand each other's communication styles, and a perfect complement to what you learned today. If you're ready to bring this program to your team, make sure to reach out to Aligned Executive Solutions by emailing info@aesresults.com. And remember, trust isn't a luxury. It's a necessity for leaders who want to drive change and create high-performing teams. Let's make trust possible again.